Great game. 60 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure.
Before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
He's just picking the big guys. Jordan Mailata, he's huge. He'll be good later on. Josh Sweat, he's tall as hell and strong. Let's get him. We'll figure him out. It's working.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Smash that like button, smash that share button, and if you're over on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, turn the little bell on because that way you'll be notified every time DSM Media is live on YouTube. It's also the best way to get involved with the show. If you head over to the YouTube page, your comments will be seen on my screen. I can put them up on the screen. We can interact with your thoughts as we dive into Overreaction Monday, Victory Monday here on Trending in the AM, brought to you, as always, on every DSM show by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below-the-waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out. Manscaped.com. Use promo code TRENDING, the name of the show here, Trending. At checkout, get you 20% off and free shipping. Just because the holidays are over, the deals do not stop. I'm joined once again by my buddy, my best mate here, Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651. I am Phil Stifle. And like I said, today is Overreaction Monday, and there's a lot of overreacting going on in Philly sports right now, especially because of the Eagles' big victory, expected victory. I don't even know how else to describe it, but just a complete shellacking of the New York Football Giants yesterday. They won handily, even though it started off a little sketchy. They won 34-10. Jason, good morning, and how are we feeling on this Overreaction Monday?
I'm feeling great. I mean, Eagles are ready to win the Super Bowl, right? Nah, I mean, yeah. They, obviously took care of business. Once again, it was kind of a slow start. I didn't get a chance to really catch the game. I went back and saw some highlights and stuff because I obviously had work. But, I did, I was kind of following you guys on you were live tweeting, and, I was seeing, like, I don't want to say the Overreaction Sunday, but it was kind of like, I was seeing like, once again, they're not playing well. So obviously they came out slow. We kind of looked at this game as like a game where I was hoping that they would turn the corner on that aspect of their game, because it does seem like a lot of times this year they have come out slow.
Yep.
But overall,
now they have come out slow. Now they came out slow this week. They came out slow on Tuesday night against Washington, the Jets before the bye, and the Giants before that. So now we're talking 4 straight weeks of starting out extremely slow. And while this is Overreaction Monday, I did not do a post-game show yesterday. So this is part post-game show review as well. So there's going to be some real breakdown today along with the overreacting. So before we overreact on the slow starts, why do the Eagles start so slow in your opinion? I mean, to me, it feels like it's just the youthfulness. It's the inexperience of Nick Sirianni. It's, Jalen Hurts takes a little time to get into a rhythm. I really can't put a finger on the exact reason why this is happening week in and week out.
Yeah, it's funny because I think you just nailed it. I think it's the fact that, they got a lot – because it's a new system, obviously a lot of younger players on offense. Obviously, the guy driving the bus, Jalen Hurts, he's, still growing. Me, man. I've been a diehard Jalen Hurts guy. I mean, I want this guy to succeed more than anybody because I've been, obviously so high on him. But I'm still not ready to say that he is the man. However, I think he has shown an ability to, improve. And that's really all we could ask for. You said it offline, the other day. There's not 10 Pat Mahomes in this league. There's just not. And I think the problem is everybody wants, the franchise quarterback, but so many teams are looking for the franchise quarterback.
Right, and you need a franchise quarterback. But here's the thing. So I don't even know if this is an overreaction. We've been saying it now for about 3 weeks now, 4 weeks now, maybe even longer than that Jalen Hurts has earned the right to play in 2022 as the starting quarterback, right? So here's how I'm going to tweak that for Overreaction Monday. And it is Overreaction Monday. So again, these are not lockdown predictions, lockdown opinions. These are fun overreaction statements. But I don't even know if it's an overreaction that we keep saying that Jalen Hurts is the guy in 2022 because there's no better options in 2022. There's no better, quarterbacks in the draft. There's no with a higher ceiling. There's no, we're not going to land Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson most likely. I think it's more than that. I think he's earned 2022 based off of his development from last year into this year. That progression, he's earned it on that alone, not just because of the lack of better options, but he's earned it because, yes, he has slow starts. Yes, he makes bad reads sometimes. But you know what? He's a young kid in his second year as a starting quarterback, and he has progressed. So I don't know if it's an overreaction saying that, but I think he's progressed enough to earn 2022, not just because there's no better options. Is that an overreaction?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I think
I'm sure there will be fans that think that's an overreaction, though.
Oh, I absolutely. I mean, there's a couple of them I know that follow us and watch us. There's one in particular that really said he wants to talk to me about Hurts today.
George will be chiming in at some point today, I'm sure.
I love George. I do.
I get George's he's a realist. He doesn't live on hopes and dreams of the Eagles. He likes to break it down, simple, brass taxes. This is what he sees. And I get it. And that's why I'm thinking that it might be an overreaction because obviously Jalen Hurts still has his flaws. But some of his flaws are also not his fault. I mean, we look at how bad the first quarter went yesterday. I mean, I forget what the exact number was. I think it was 6 or 7 of the first 8 plays were pass plays. And a young quarterback that struggles early with a team that actually really runs the ball really well, you can't be calling the first drive, it was all passes. The second drive, it was all passes but one. Third drive, all passes. That's not the way you're going to set your quarterback up for success. And when you guys, what have you missed? You just are tuning in. Jason just called you out for saying you wanted to talk about Hurts with him. It's part on the coach, the slow starting for sure. It's part on the fact that, you got wide receivers, Dallas Goedert, again, a big drop on the opening drive or the second drive. There's a lot of ancillary issues that are causing Hurts to look poorly sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. So I think that's all playing factors into it. And yes, Hurts has his deficiencies, but he's grown enough to say that it's not all his fault.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair, all your points that you're making. I think the biggest thing with Jalen Hurts is that, and with any young quarterback, is you have to surround them with weapons. Okay? Listen, yeah. Joe Burrow,
25 yards passing yesterday.
Joe Burrow, obviously we agree. He's probably in the upper tier. I mean, when he was drafted as a first-round pick. I mean, right. Coming out of college, I was always higher on Joe Burrow than I was on Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people were saying, oh, Trevor Lawrence is the generational guy. I tend to believe that it's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, okay, even Joe Burrow, look at all the weapons that he had in college, okay? Yeah. Who did he play with? Yeah. Who did he play with again?
A lot of really talented players.
Who? Name them. LSU, right?
Yeah.
So
I can't.
He had a ton of weapons, okay? Now he's in Cincinnati. And once again, he has a ton of weapons. He has two wide receiver ones. He's got Jamar Chase, and he has the guy that I actually wanted the Eagles to get if they didn't get Justin Jefferson. But, of course, they took Jalen Reagor instead. I wanted T. Higgins.
Here we go. There's always got to be a Jalen Reagor comment.
Well, because, I mean.
That's a true fair statement.
Everyone was like, we don't want T. Higgins. He's crap.
Yeah.
And what is T. Higgins doing? Like, he's
Yeah,
outshining
195
Jamar Chase
yards
right now.
receiving yesterday.
I mean, I guess the point I'm making is that it's easy to sit here and bash quarterbacks and say they're not the guys. But you also, we live in a town where we've went through previous regimes where teams left the cupboard bare as far as weapons. It happened with Donovan McNabb, who's arguably the best quarterback in Philadelphia Eagles franchise history.
Yeah.
Like, he hardly ever had weapons. I mean, the 1 year he had Terrell Owens, they went to the Super Bowl. Well, 1.5 years.
Okay, so I know George is chiming in here saying things like, it's a regular thing with the slow starts, and yes, they absolutely are, and that a great quarterback will rise to the occasion regardless.
I disagree with that.
But see, I disagree with it probably for a different reason. I think he has risen to the occasion the last couple of weeks because the slow starts. The one thing you can count on with Jalen Hurts is that he keeps his mind level. If it starts out slow, if it starts out bad, you look back at Tuesday against Washington, interceptions, off of Goddard, the fumble, all that stuff. It didn't let him get down. He kept his mind on straight, and he was able to rise above it. This week we scored 3 points in the first. We didn't get our first score till just after the 2-minute warning with a Jake Elliott kick, and it didn't affect him. He came out in the second half and continued to he started to execute the plays in front of him, and his players around him made plays, and the coach, Coach Sirianni, called a better second half. He was able to rise above in the second. So yeah, the slow starts are an issue, absolutely, especially when you're starting slow against Washington, the Giants, the Jets, bad teams that are not good teams. We look at what Washington did against Dallas yesterday. They just got destroyed by Dallas yesterday, Washington. You can't have slow starts like that forever. But the fact that he's able to recover in game, it's not like he's a young rookie quarterback and he recovers the next game from a bad game. He recovers mid-game from that. And I think that is at least signs of progress from him, signs that he has some ability there. That's my thing with the slow starts. I think they're overblown to an extent because he doesn't let it carry on for a full 4 quarters.
Well, I agree, but I think the other issue that we're kind of not really hitting on is the fact that, yes, the last few games were slow starts, but he also turned the ball over. Yeah. This game, he didn't. At least there was no turnover.
He fumbled the ball. They could recover it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying he didn't throw any picks, and he wasn't. He was advantageous when the chances came. Like, obviously, it's weird because they had slow starts with Doug Peterson last year too. So
we've been experiencing slow starts even dating back to the Andy Reid era to an extent. And I just want to point this out. Yes, they did have some short drives. They had a 2-yard drive that Jake Elliott kicked the field goal, and Boston Scott's touchdown run was on a 21-yard drive. But the field goal to end the first half was a 56-yard drive. The Devontae Smith touchdown was a 57-yard drive, and the Lane Johnson touchdown, which we'll address later, was a 75-yard drive. So they still did move the ball from time to time. Yeah, well, and if you take out his 4 interception game a few weeks back, I mean, for the most part, he has done pretty well at taking care of the football. Yesterday, when he was stripped and they fumbled the ball early in the game, and we recovered the ball. I mean, that was like probably one of the first times I remember in his career where you never see him running loosely with the ball in one hand. And that's what he got stripped because he had the ball in one hand loosely. That's not his MO. He doesn't do that. He normally has 2 hands on the ball when he's moving, which is smart. But yeah, so there are a lot of positives, but there's also and there are the negatives. But I think the slow starts are overblown because it's also on Nick Sirianni calling 7 out of 8 pass plays to start a game. It's also on Dallas Goedert dropping a pass. There's a lot of things. It is on Jalen Hurts, some of the slow starts, but it's not just on him.
There's a lot of factors, but and let's not forget, obviously, Miles Sanders went down pretty early with an injury.
Which,
then Jordan Howard also went down. So
I do want to point out that the Miles Sanders, he is going to have another X-ray and MRI today. It seems like he has a broken hand. It does not mean he cannot play with the broken hand. But it does not look good for him playing next week against Washington. Just want to point that out. We'll have to stay locked in on all the reports today to see when that MRI comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I believe this is the first game in 7 games that they didn't rush for 175 yards. They still ran for over 100.
130 yards rushing.
And Jalen Hurts was actually only responsible for 7 of those yards. So they still ran the ball. They didn't run the ball as successfully. Yep. And obviously that a lot of that was, Miles Sanders getting hurt. I mean, if you remember last week, Miles Sanders, they featured him. I mean, he had almost, I believe, 20 carries last week. Yeah. So they were starting to really use Miles the way that all of us fans have been clamoring for how long? I mean, obviously one of us on DSM have been saying, use Miles, and they finally start doing it, and now he gets hurt. So, and I'm not, listen, injuries are not an excuse, but I'm saying what I'm saying is that a lot of times those factors do, preclude the outcome of what you're expecting.
Right.
So I think the fact that you kind of lost Miles, you're going to look at the game plan. It kind of probably changed a little bit. I didn't see the game, so I can't really talk.
No. I mean, no, the game plan. I mean, it was 4 or 5 straight passes to start the game, and then the first time they handed the ball off to Miles Sanders, he got 11 yards for a first down. So obviously the crowd cheered and all. But George is going on to the issues with Hurts and his progression, like reading the progressions and the wide open Dallas Goedert. He was asked after the game, I believe it was by Jeff McLean, about that specific play because, he missed a blatant wide open Dallas Goedert. We're going to get to that in a second, George, that last comment. Blatant wide open Dallas Goedert in the corner of the end zone. He threw a tough pass over the middle that was incomplete. But he went in the postgame. He was asked about that play. And I don't want to say he blamed the coaching staff, but he said, look, this is what I saw. And he described it in detail. This is what I saw. That was my progression. That was my read there. I saw it open, so I fired it. So to an extent, that was as much coaching as it was him, because he knew that this is what he was told to look for. He saw what he was told to look for, saw it, and fired the pass. It was the wrong look because he missed, a safety that was there or a cornerback that was there that was able to break on the ball and break it up while Dallas Goedert was wide open. So that's all. That's all part of it as well. But I get it. He does have issues going through his progression.
But
that's teachable.
I have a hypothetical here. So kind of getting to what you're talking about as far as reading progressions and, why can this quarterback hit an open guy and this quarterback can't?
Right.
I was watching the Dallas-Washington game last night, right? Terry McLaurin had no catches through 3 quarters with Taylor Heineke as the quarterback.
Right.
All of a sudden, they pull Taylor Heineke. They put in Kyle Allen, who I would say is not better than Taylor Heineke. I mean, if
neither of
them, I don't think either of them are great, but to me, Taylor Heineke is the better quarterback. All of a sudden, Terry McLaurin has 5 targets in five successive plays and gets 3 catches. So you tell me, is Taylor Heineke not good at reading progressions, and is Kyle Allen better, or is it just that certain quarterbacks have certain plays, that are called for them?
Plays that fit their eyes. Their eyes tend to go to the, if someone's comfortable throwing to the right or the left or the middle, that's just where their guys. But that also comes down to play calling.
Well, so that's what I'm getting at.
You call a play to get those guys open, so your big playmakers are there. You don't call plays for Jalen Reagor, who dropped a wide open screen pass that the Eagles had read perfectly. Jalen Hurts put the ball right on him. The Giants were blitzing. There's literally 3 blockers in front of Jalen Reagor and nobody to stop him, and he drops a simple pass. And I know Jalen Reagor had a 39-yard punt return yesterday. But come on, that one punt return does not make up for the excessive amount of mistakes he's made in his first 2 years here so far. But yeah, look, I don't think it's an overreaction to say that Jalen Hurts has improved enough to be the starting quarterback in 2022. Yeah, I get you. I get your comment. I do, and I know it's something, but I think it's a teachable deficiency that he has. I think over time it's something that he can get better with. I just think that, you know, the other things that he does well, or not does well, has improved upon, makes that deficiency. That's his main deficiency, honestly, is his progressions. I think with better weapons, with more experience and more time and better coaching and play calling, I think that gets better over time. I really do.
And listen, George, you know, he hit on it and he said, yeah, great quarterbacks overcome deficiencies in talent. That's absolutely correct. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. Jalen Hurts may not be a great quarterback, but you tell me if you put Jalen Hurts, if you put Jalen Hurts on Dallas's offense right now, you're going to tell me that he's not going to look better? Just answer the question, yes or no. I mean, to me, you give Jalen Hurts those kind of wide receivers that Dallas has, he absolutely looks better. The stats are better. His game is better. Listen, Jalen Reagor is terrible. You hit it. He's done. He's not a good wide receiver. Okay.
I mean, if you look at our wide receivers, there's more than one bad wide receiver on our team.
The Eagles have Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, and that's it. Okay, that's it.
So I know we've been focused on George's comments here, but you know, his awareness is his issue. So George, I've brought it up multiple times. I haven't seen your answer to this thing. I think that his deficiency there, you're accurate in it, but I still think it's coachable. That deficiency, that is something I think you could get better at. You know, I mean, he's literally in his second year. He only had half of a first year. He had no rookie off season, you know, his first year. I think it's coachable. I think it's something that he can improve at if given time. Some people believe that you can't teach, you know, the reading of the field and stuff. I think it is coachable. So, you know, that's just, and George, I did my overreaction statement. You missed it at the beginning of the show, was that he hasn't earned it by default. He's earned next year by his progression as a player this year. It's an overreaction statement, but I'm going to stick by it. We'll wait to see if George comments if he thinks the progressions can be coached and improved upon. But he brought up a good comment, you know, and you brought up Miles Sanders getting hurt. I talked about it a little bit. Miles is gone. He cannot stay healthy. Man, I mean, availability is everything in football. Can we conceivably go into next season with Miles Sanders as our starting running back again? I mean, the guy's uber talented, but the guy just cannot stay. It's been his theme. Even in college, he missed time because of injury. Do we have to consider upgrading, or not necessarily upgrading, bringing in more running backs for next year? Because Miles Sanders, man, it's some dumb luck, but the guy just can't stay healthy at all.
I mean, it's a difficult question to answer. I love Miles Sanders. I mean, I don't know what he's going to command, you know, on the open market as far as bringing him back. Obviously, usually when you re-sign players, you know, you get a hometown discount. But is he going to even want to come back after the way that he was kind of misused?
Well, he's going to go under contract next year.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, it's the last year of his rookie deal next year, which most running backs after their third year going into their fourth year do want a renegotiated rate, or they hold out. So that is something that, you know, we'll have to see how that plays out in the offseason. But yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine going into next season with him as our lead back again. You know, because of the injuries. I mean, the drops. I mean, he had a drop yesterday as well. So
I think that's part the reason why they drafted Kenny Gainwell so high. I mean, I think Kenny Gainwell is definitely a guy that's capable of going to the next level as far as being a more used back than just a third down back. He's capable of running the ball. Obviously, they haven't used him that much, especially during that long stretch in the midseason where they kind of ignored him. But Kenny Gainwell is definitely a piece moving forward for this team. And I think that's why they drafted him, because of the fact that Miles is, you know, out. I don't want to say out all the time, but he has an injury history. I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, you just say we're agreeing to disagree, but agreeing that we'll both admit that we're wrong if one of the other sides.
Let's face it, we're gonna be talking about this obviously
through all of next season,
2022. I mean, that's what we do in Philly. It's the quarterback. It's the most valued position on the field. And obviously there's a split camp between people that believe Hurts can be the guy and those that believe that Hurts is not the guy and he doesn't have arm strength and he's not the guy.
Right.
It's just there's gonna be that argument. And obviously I fall
we got to get off Jalen Hurts. I can't keep talking.
We're going to be talking about Jalen Hurts the whole show.
So we talked Miles Sanders being injured. Jordan Howard got injured as well, and he had a stinger yesterday late in the game. And if we harken back to 2019, how much time did Jordan Howard miss because of a stinger that was supposed to keep him out for 5 minutes, and it turned into like the rest of the season that Jordan Howard was out with a stinger. We're going to get into the playoff picture and the outlook in the next couple of weeks, but can we survive with Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders being out? Because that is the crux of our run game right there.
It's funny that you say that. I think we can, and I think the Eagles are blessed that they actually have Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell. Because let's face it, most teams lose 2 running backs, and you're trotting out guys from practice squad. So I think the Eagles kind of, in that sense, are kind of built for the long haul because they have depth. We talked about it all offseason, how deep the Eagles running back room was and is. And now it's crazy that down the stretch, it's going to be put to the test because obviously Miles could be out next week, could be out longer. And you just hit on it with Jordan Howard, a guy that it's a shame because when he's healthy, I mean, he's the bruiser. Like, he really is. And he's been a godsend this year. Like, I couldn't believe that he was left off the roster for so long. And it took Nick that long to say, let's get Jordan Howard in there. But here we are. And
here we are.
I do think that Boston Scott is a capable running back. I do. I think he's shown, obviously they kind of went away from Boston Scott when you had Miles and Jordan Howard doing so well. Right. But my point is you asked the question, can they overcome it? I think they absolutely can. And I think it's actually a testament to the depth of that room that we all spoke about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about in the offseason, who was going to be the odd man out, whether it was going to be Boston. I thought Boston Scott was going to be out. Yeah, Jason Huntley, who we traded for last year. We had some young guy. I mean, yeah, it's definitely absolutely accurate. George really wants us to talk about Reagor. He's made multiple comments about why we don't give him the same benefit of the doubt as Jalen Hurts. And I think there's a few factors in it. Obviously, there's the number one factor that he was the wrong pick at that moment. So we're going to hold him to a higher standard because it's an unfair thing to do. I 110% agree that it's unfair to always say, Jalen Reagor should have been Justin Jefferson. That's on Howie. That's all there is to it. It's just like we have to move on from talking about Carson Wentz every single week on every sports talk radio show. It's time to move on from the Justin Jefferson. It's time to move on from the DK Metcalf over Ortega-Whiteside. It's time to move on from those. But a quarterback touches the ball 60, 70 times a game. And if he has 10 bad plays, you evaluate those 10 bad plays with 50 good plays. A wide receiver like Jalen Reagor yesterday, he had 3 punt returns and he had 4 targets. So he had 7 opportunities to make plays yesterday. He had 1 good punt return. He had 2 catches for 15 yards. He had a big drop, and he had some other not-so-great punt returns. So he had 7 plays to make his mark, and he only made 1 effective play. So it's different for a wide receiver because we criticize him more unfairly. I'm saying unfairly because they only touch the ball so little. So 1 or 2 mistakes, 1 drop, 1 bad play is amplified because they only get, so many opportunities, whereas the quarterback gets the ball every single play. But I've already said Jalen Reagor will be a wide receiver on the Eagles next year. They're not, unless they get some huge, massive trade offer for him, which they're not going to do. Jalen Reagor has the benefit of the doubt to have a 3rd season in the Eagles offense. So, Jason, thoughts on Reagor and, whether he, should be getting a better benefit of the doubt?
I think Jalen Reagor stinks. Okay. I don't think he should get any benefit of the doubt. When I'm looking at the draft class of wide receivers that came out that year, and he's absolutely the only one that sucks out of all of them. Justin Jefferson, the best of the class. CeeDee Lamb, stud. Jerry Jeudy, been hurt, but still shown flashes, had more yards in his first year than Rager's had in 2 years. Okay? Chase Claypool, maybe he's the one that's close to Rager as far as not really succeeding. Brandon Ayuk, killing it for the Niners. T. Higgins, I mean, we just talked about him.
Yeah.
Laviska Shenault on probably the worst team of the league.
He didn't have a single catch yesterday.
Okay,
So
so
played yesterday.
and then Henry Ruggs out of league. So I would say out of all those guys, Jalen Rager has been the absolute worst. So to me,
I mean,
yes,
George, you're right.
it's
You know,
fair.
you tweet out, look at Devontae Adams' first few years in the league, and that's absolutely just like I could say it with Jalen Hurts and compared. Look at Josh Allen's first 2 years in the league. We do need to have patience sometimes, and maybe in the right situation, Jalen Rager could succeed. Whether the Eagles, take him out of the starting lineup and make him that third guy, use him like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are used in San Francisco. Yeah, exactly. Brandon Graham stunk in his first. We were calling Brandon Graham a bust early in his career. Absolutely. 100% accurate on all those things. But yet, you're not willing to give that same time frame to Jalen Hurts. So it has to. So if we're impatient with Jalen Rager, everybody else has to.
Wait a sec. Yeah, but he's comparing him to Devontae Adams' first 2 years. Devontae Adams had more yards in his first year than Rager's had in 2. So you can't. It's not a comparison. Devontae Adams is. I'm not. We're not going to do this today. We can't. Listen. All right. Maybe I'll be proven wrong.
He is comparing Jalen Rager to Devontae Adams.
I got it. I'll be proven wrong, and Jalen Rager will be, a Pro Bowl player next year.
I'm pulling up.
Book it. Let's book it.
I got to see this. He had 38 catches for 446 yards his first year.
Yeah,
it's 183 yards in his second year.
He had more catches in his first year than Rager's had in 2 years. That's what I'm getting at.
But honestly, his first 2 years were not. So maybe we're not saying that Jalen Rager is going to become Devontae Adams. But if you follow Devontae Adams' progress, 38 catches, 50 catches, then all of a sudden he didn't have a 100-catch season until 2018, his 5th year in the league.
He also was not the guy. He also was. They had other guys at wide receiver at that time. Remember, they had Jordy Nelson. They had like quite a few guys.
What?
Sorry,
I was reading comments. I was checking stats. I didn't hear what you said there. Sorry.
I said Devontae Adams wasn't drafted. He wasn't the guy. He had Jordy Nelson there. They had quite a few guys that were already established wide receivers. So he wasn't expected to be like this stud. So that could be something there that George is hitting on. That it could be right. We're expecting Jalen Rager to be the guy because they drafted him.
That's part of it. Yeah, when you're drafted in the first round, that's what you're expected to be, the guy. No matter what position you play at. That's why we were calling Brandon Graham a bust. And we don't win the Super Bowl without Brandon Graham's strip sack. There's plenty of scenarios like that.
I
agree. I think we do need to be patient with players, young players, put in positions on average to bad teams that they need time to develop. And I won't completely write off Jalen Rager because, like I said, I know he will be here next year. There's no doubt in my mind he will be on this next year.
Can you answer this though? Isn't it a little disturbing that the fact that Nick Sirianni is supposed to be this wide receiver guru and Jalen Rager has still not improved? I mean,
honestly,
everybody thought that this would be the year. I mean, how many analysts were saying that? Wow, with Devonta Smith, Jalen Rager is going to bust out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And George, I agree with you. We all need to be patient because again, we're going to get into the playoff scenario here in a second. We all realize that this season was not about making the playoffs per se. We weren't expecting this really great team or any great results this season. And we all needed to be patient. But now because all of a sudden we're in a playoff chase here, I've got all the scenarios. There is actually a scenario in place where we get all the way up to the 5th seed before by playoff time. That has just changed. That everybody's rushing to conclusions. Everybody wants these. I actually see people on Twitter talking about making a run to the Super Bowl, which is I won't even say that on Overreaction. I'm not going to say that on Overreaction Monday. There's no way I could say that. And that's an overreaction. But there's people that were calling 12 wins, early in the season. Look, that overreaction, it's pretty much year one for Reagor. Yes, absolutely. Just like it is for Jalen Hurts to an extent. So yeah, I think that's part of it. I think some people's expectations on players are being rushed because of the quick ascension this team is making in the playoff standings, which let's get this. I got listed here all the different scenarios for the Eagles to make the playoffs, okay? So right now, if the Eagles win out, obviously they're in. If they win their last 2 games, they're in, no doubt about it. But the Eagles can actually clinch their playoff spot next week, okay? And here's the scenario. If we beat Washington and get to 9-7 next week, okay, we clinch it if Minnesota loses to Green Bay in Green Bay, which is obviously a very, very distinct possibility. Green Bay is trying to lock up that number 1 seed, okay? So if Minnesota loses to Green Bay in Green Bay next week, and either New Orleans loses next week or New Orleans loses to Miami this week with a San Francisco win next week. All right, so New Orleans needs to lose next week or New Orleans has to lose next week or this week with a San Francisco win next week. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
if that all happened. So basically, Minnesota loses and New Orleans loses 1 week, and San Francisco wins 1, and then we're in. And then the week 18 against the Cowboys means nothing, for us. Okay. So there's that. There's that opportunity right there. Also, here, let me read this again because I read this all before the show, and now I'm totally lost on it all. All we clinch if we win 1 game, either game. New Orleans has to lose 1 time. Okay. Minnesota has to lose 1 time, and San Francisco lose 1 time, and it doesn't matter which week we win. So that's that part of it. Okay, here we got more. Okay, we got more scenarios here.
We win out.
Yeah, when we win out, we're in no matter what. Where is it here? Sorry, there's like 3 or 4 different things here. There's a scenario where we
What's
lose.
The scenario where we would be the 5th seed?
If we lose out and go 8-9, we could still make the playoffs. Okay, Atlanta needs to lose 1 time. New Orleans needs to lose 2 times because they still have 3 games left because they play tonight. Washington needs to lose in week 18, and Minnesota needs to lose out. All very possible things. So we can still get that 7 seed at 8-9, hypothetically speaking. And then, of course, there is the scenario. Where is it here on this list of scenarios that they could win out or they could get the 5th seed? Somewhere on this list of things, there is a scenario that we could get all the way up to the 5th seed, which is absolutely insane to think of. Let's see here. Okay, here. So if Minnesota, if we finish 10-7, Minnesota loses 1 time, Tampa wins the South, San Francisco loses, and then the Rams and the Cardinals both lose out, then we get the actual 5th seed. It's insane to think that's even a possibility right now.
That is insane. To be.
Look, I will not start talking Super Bowl unless we win 2 playoff games. I guarantee it. No way I'm going to talk Super Bowl. No way. We got Raiders fans in the house now. What's up, Jason? There's no way we're talking Super Bowl this year. No way whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, the Eagles control their fate, though.
I mean, I like it. I like the fact that this team is further along in their progression, let's say, no pun intended.
Right.
Than we thought they were going to be. I mean, obviously, your prediction could be spot on. You said 9-8, and it's looking like, I think they do maybe lose one of these games, but you never know. They could win out because obviously Dallas yesterday just spanked Washington, which really puts Washington. If we beat Washington next week, then obviously, we're in, right? If we win 1, we're in.
Yeah, I mean, if we win 1, we're like 95%.
We're beating Washington. Okay, so
here's the thing with Washington and Dallas last night. I mean, is Washington that bad or is Dallas that good? And I think it's a little bit of both.
I was going to get on that we've been kind of we as Philly fans, we don't like to admit when Dallas is good, but you have to look at Dallas as being a definite contender for the Super Bowl this year.
Absolutely, as long as they stay healthy.
Well, yes, and I think yesterday they showed.
I think that's the first game in a long time that they've had all 3 starting wide receivers, and Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, and like they had their core 3, 4, their core 6 offensive players, their core 6 weapons, all on the field, and you look at what they did.
Well, yeah, and I think what's scary about Dallas is that they've put together.
Dude, I don't know how I get. This show's great because it gets my blood pressure up. Then I go right to work and yell at all my employees. They've
put together a tremendous offense.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they've supplemented it with a defense that's absolutely amazing. Like Dallas's defense this year has been totally underrated and not talked about.
Yeah.
I don't like talking good about Dallas. I hate it. It makes my blood pressure boil.
Absolutely.
But Dallas is a legit team this year. And you know what it is? They've drafted well. Look at Dallas's team. 90% of it's been built through the draft.
I mean, young guys like Micah
Parker.
I
know Ezekiel Elliott's on his, kind of on his downturn of his career, but he's still, a capable running back.
Yeah.
You have Pollard as his backup. He was drafted.
Right.
Dak Prescott, a 4th-round pick.
Yep.
I mean, you could go down the line. CeeDee Lamb. The only guy on that team that wasn't drafted on the offense is Amari Cooper.
Correct.
Signed from the Raiders. But other than that, like Dallas has kind of done it the right way. And we talk all the shit and we say how crazy and dysfunctional they are. But it's scary because they've been not relevant for so long that you knew sooner or later it was going to turn around. Like, absolutely. So you have to say that they are definitely a contender. I'm not saying they're going to win it.
Actually, honestly, out of all the teams that are at the top, you got Green Bay at the number 1 spot. Dallas is number 2 right now. But then the Rams, the Cardinals, these other teams, they're just not consistent enough. So it's got to be right now front runners as Dallas versus Green Bay for the NFC Championship game, in my opinion. Which pains me to say that, but it's that's got to be the way most people think. And it's really sad. If we get that 7th seed, there's a really good chance we play the Cowboys in Week 18, and then again Week 1 of the playoffs. That we're going to have to play Dallas 2 times in a row, and that's that. There's nothing more frustrating than no matter how low expectations there were, you just don't want to lose to Dallas in the playoffs. It just breaks your heart. How many years ago was it we played Dallas in the last week of the season, lost, Dallas got in, then beat us in the first round of the playoffs? What year was that? It was like 12, 11, somewhere back then.
2011?
I forget which week it was. But yeah, that would just break my heart.
But then again, how sweet would it be if we played Cinderella in the first round and we beat Dallas? Like, after all this talk.
George tuned out so I can make these kind of jokes. This is Overreaction Monday again on Trending the AM. How crazy would it be as if in the first round we moved up to, they say, the 6th seed, which is a distinct possibility. We move up to the 6th seed, and we face the Cardinals or the Rams in the first round, and we beat them. And then we have to go play Green Bay in the second round. That would kind of suck. But maybe, just maybe there's a path to winning 1 or 2 playoff games. I don't know. That's total overreaction. I won't even tweet that out. I will not tweet that out. I guarantee it.
It's Overreaction Monday.
I'm excited because playoff football is fun. Playoff football gives us something to talk about. We can not start talking the off season for a few more weeks on these shows because there's a chance. So
it's absolutely fun. I think we all are in agreement that you cannot teach playoff experience. It's invaluable. Like the thing is that how much would it mean to this team, especially a guy like Jalen Hurts,
Absolutely.
Like a guy that we're saying that we need to see more. How much would that mean to him as far as making the playoffs? And even if they don't, win, if he at least plays well in that game, I don't know, man. Just the confidence. It's like a huge confidence booster. I'm excited too, man. I really am. This is actually the most excited I've been about the Eagles in so long, like probably since 2019. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, this team is starting to look like it's actual, like it has talent. There's a lot of talent there. It's just a matter of we got to hone it in and kind of build around that talent. Obviously, we're not there yet.
We're also playing bad teams. So to come full circle with the slow starts, we have slow starts like that, like we have the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, we'll be done.
Against Green Bay, against Dallas, against the Rams, the Cardinals. We're down 21-0, not 10-0 like against Washington or 3-0 like we were against the Giants. We're down 21-0, 17-0, 24-0. Aaron Rodgers, you give him those opportunities, you're not holding him to field goals or stopping him. You're getting beat. So that is the concern going forward. If you want to have any serious talks about them even contending in the first round of the playoffs, the slow starts absolutely need to get cleaned up.
Well, yeah, because if you have slow starts and you're down 21-7, all of a sudden that takes away the running game. The running game means nothing at that point because you're not really going to be able to run. Well, you
got to start the game with the running attack and not, close the game with it. You need to start it out right away and not call.
We've been saying that for how long, and then once again, Sirianni comes out and does the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no idea. So, all right, we got Washington next week. Do we play better against Washington? I mean, next week Washington's going to have almost a full complement of guys. I mean, all the guys that were on COVID are all off of COVID. And we got Dallas the following week. Do we go 1-1 or do we go 2-0? Or do we go 0-2 in the next 2 weeks?
Well, I think we go 2-0 because I think Washington just got embarrassed. They got spanked.
I think they've packed it up.
Yeah, and I think I think what Dallas showed the blueprint on how to beat Taylor Heineke. When you put pressure on him, he's just not a good quarterback. He's not. Like, I know a lot of people were saying, Taylor Heineke could be the future for Washington. Absolutely not. Washington will be in the market for a quarterback.
Absolutely.
Obviously they went out and they got Fitzpatrick going into this year, and he got hurt. So that kind of put them out right away. I think Eagles come out and they beat. I'm not going to give my predictions yet; it's too early in the week. But I think we're going to beat Washington, and then I believe Dallas will be already ready to rest their players in the final week. I don't think Dallas.
But what if the scenario comes into play that we can rest our starters too in Week 18? I mean, I would have no problem resting Jalen Hurts Week 18.
If we are locked up and Dallas is locked up, yes. Why would you want to play your player
as your backup can beat Dallas and Cooper Rush's backups? So I mean, there's a scenario where they go 2-0 and they ruin my 9-8 prediction, go 10-7. Absolutely, but it's great to have this positive vibe and feeling at this point, because let's remember last year at this point we were packed in, we were done. There was nothing positive at this point last season. So it's great to see. Real quick, go ahead.
Football's a game of momentum.
Absolutely,
and we are on a roll right now. Like, obviously, you lost to the Giants last game, which was hurts.
Can you imagine if we would have won that game?
Well, that's what I mean.
Where we would be, instead of being 8-7 right now, we would be, 9 and we'd be literally, there'd be a chance still for the division at that point. There'd be a lot of interesting scenarios. We even have a potential for a home field playoff game if we had won that. Man,
talk about wow.
That Giants game is brutal on the schedule, looking at that score and how that game played out, especially how bad the Giants are. And I know people will say we beat Jake Fromm, State Farm. We beat, whoever was the quarterback, for Washington a few weeks ago. What's eating Gilbert Grape? I can't remember his name. Gilbert Godfrey, whatever his name was. You can only beat the teams in front of you. You have to take care of it. That's why the Giants loss is so crucial and critical to be so frustrated, because you can only beat the teams in front of you. And for the most part, the last 4 out of the last 5 weeks, we've won the games we should have won. So we're not a great team. We're not on Green Bay's level. We're not on Kansas City's level. But we're good enough where we should be beating those bad teams. We're not the bottom feeders in the NFL. We're beating the teams that we should. So you can only beat the teams in front of you, and that's what they're doing right now. And that's important.
Taking care of business.
Yep, that's right. Taking care of business. So let's look around the NFL real quick. I want to do that to wrap up the show because there is, again, some interesting scores. You already brought up Joe Burrow. I was going to lead with Joe Burrow's 525 yards passing. T. Higgins' massive outburst yesterday. But, man, what the hell happened to the L.A. Chargers? Losing to the – first off, why would Houston try to win that game? Because they just cost themselves a top 3 draft pick. But, man, the Chargers completely shit the bed yesterday. Am I right?
Yeah, you know what's crazy about Houston? They said that they were going to go with this kid Davis Mills down the stretch to see if he's actually their franchise quarterback, because obviously they have Deshaun Watson situation. Right. You know they're going to end up trading him. It's just a matter of when, not if. And I like these kind of stories.
Back to that. Remind me to circle back to that in a second.
Yeah, well, I like these kind of stories, though, because Davis Mills, to me, I believe he was like a 6th-round draft pick quarterback, kind of one of those quarterbacks you kind of take a flyer on. But he definitely has some talent. I mean, look what he's doing with no weapons. Like, I mean, he's actually
Burke had 22 carries, 140. I don't know what's more impressive, Burkhead's stats or T. Higgins' stats yesterday. I mean, come on, 149 yards for him. He's like a 3rd down back, and he rushed 22 times yesterday. Insane. Whoever had him in a fantasy lineup, man, that's hell of a job.
That could have been a winner for the week.
Yeah, could have been.
But we talked about how bad the Chargers defense was going in, a couple weeks back when we did the trending, when we did the preview of the weeks.
Right.
Chargers defense is god awful. So, I mean, the fact that we actually lost that game bothers me because we could have won that game. Imagine if we beat the Chargers. And we're talking 11 wins. Like, there's games that the Eagles were in this year that, not to get off. We're getting off the subject, but
I don't think that's I mean, does it really matter who's better out of those two? Come on.
I know.
I don't even think it matters who's better. Neither of them are better than Jalen Hurts. I'll say that.
I agree. That's not an overreaction.
No, that's not an overreaction.
I think George would agree if he was on right now.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know, George. Maybe. I'll send him a DM later after the show and ask him about that. Yeah, look, should have won the Chargers game. Should have won the 49ers game. Should have won the Giants game. They were all 3 winnable games. Insane that where the season could have been, and that's positivity going into 2022. That we're so close to winning some of these closer games against better teams. We take care of business against the bad teams. Next year, add more talent, all these draft picks, all this cap space. We're going to get into the offseason, but I mean, there's definitely a reason to think that this team could progress next season. Absolutely. Any other games that stood out to you yesterday when you look around the league?
Absolutely. I'll give you my surprise game of the week. How about Big Dick Nick?
I knew you were going to say. I was going to say, why don't you just say BDN? I hate that nickname. I absolutely hate it.
I know, but I had to drop it.
I bet the Seahawks -6.5 yesterday, and everybody gave me flack for it because Nick Foles' Magic's going to win. Yeah, I was totally against that. Nick Foles totally came out and played just mediocre enough to beat a bad Seahawks team in Seattle.
I know it's fun. Everyone has fun with it. Let's be real. Nick Foles. Listen, he's an artifact. We love the guy. Like, we'll always love
Nick Foles. To him at some point.
We will always love Nick Foles, but can we be real about him? Like you said, he's not a good quarterback. He's a backup.
The greatest backup quarterbacks of all time in the NFL.
He is.
But will never be a great quarterback. Yeah, 100% on that one. All right, so we got Monday Night Football tonight. It's a big game, actually, like I said, because the Saints need to lose. You got, what's his name again? I forget his name. I brought it up to try not to forget, but now I forget already. Ian Book. Yeah, Ian Book starting for the Saints against the red-hot Dolphins, who need to win out plus get help to get into the playoffs. It's actually a pretty exciting game for me because I was talking last week on someone else's show that I don't get to see Tua play much. Most of the time when you see Tua in the highlights. So I'm curious to see if my opinion of Tua can change by watching a complete game of Tua tonight without anybody else like other games going on to distract me. And with the Saints having Ian Book, but they do still have a great defense, keeping Tom Brady to how many points did Tom Brady score last week? I forget. 0, I think it was.
0.
Yeah. If they can keep Tom Brady in that high-powered Buccaneers offense to nothing, the Saints defense, it doesn't matter who's quarterback, will keep them in the game tonight. So I'm really looking forward to the game. It's a 3-point Miami favored. The over/under is only 37 on the game, so they expect a low-scoring game. But we'll see. I don't know about you if you're excited or not about the game, but I am.
Well, I can't believe more people aren't talking about the fact that the Saints actually literally reached out to Drew Brees about coming back.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's talking about that. Like, that to me, that's pretty
I kind of skated under the radar to even me.
Like, I mean, obviously the Saints, Jameis Winston was the guy coming into this year, and obviously he went down. Then you had Taysom Hill; he's been injured, so now they're going with Ian Book.
He's not a quarterback.
Ian Book is another Davis Mills, a guy that was drafted really late.
Yep.
Probably
when was the last time a Notre Dame quarterback played well in the NFL?
Probably isn't their future, but yes, I agree.
We make a lot of comments about Ohio State quarterbacks, but Notre Dame quarterbacks are no good in the NFL as well.
Yeah, who was the only good one?
I don't know. I can't even remember.
Wasn't Joe Montana?
I don't know who Notre Dame quarterback.
I thought Joe Montana was.
I mean, he was. I'm just trying to see, was he the last one?
He had to be, probably.
Probably
the first and only.
Yeah, I'm Google searching it. DeShone Kizer, Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen, Rick Meyer. There's some of the names in recent form. But yeah, man, there's not many good ones that came out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think
Joe Theismann was a Notre Dame quarterback. I guess Joe Montana's not listed, so I don't even know.
No, then I guess it was.
Yeah, I don't know. Joe Theismann. Oh, no, Joe Montana, yeah. So Joe Montana, Joe Theismann, Ian Book. He's actually listed as third best quarterback at this ranker.com site that I just randomly pulled up.
Ian Book.
Steve Berline, Rick Meyer. I remember Rick Meyer. Yeah, I mean, there's some really big. I've never even heard of 90% of these names. DeShone Kizer, Jimmy Clausen, Everett Golson, Jarius Jackson, never heard of him. George Izzo, no idea, never heard. Some of these pictures are black and white, so that tells you how long ago they've got to go for that there. So what is your prediction for tonight's Monday Night Football game?
I've kind of been pounding the drum for the Dolphins all year. Obviously my co-host Aaron, he's a diehard Dolphins guy. He actually went and saw him in New York when they played the Jets. I think the Miami wins. I think they're still a little bit in the hunt, close to being in the playoff hunt. They're not eliminated, so I think they come out, and I like what Miami's doing. They have a lot of young talent. I don't see the Saints winning this game with Ian Book at quarterback.
It's a shame.
What?
That Ian, any of these teams that are going on their third and fourth string quarterbacks, I mean, it's a shame because the game could turn into a good game, but because of Ian Book, I mean, can you conceivably even see them get 6 points tonight? And that's the problem, because the Miami Dolphins defense is actually really, really stout and really, really good as well. Which I need Miami's defense to score like 40 points tonight for me to not get eliminated from the DSM playoff league or fantasy football league. I doubt they score 40 points tonight, but with Ian Book as their quarterback, maybe we see like 3 or 4 pick sixes. I don't know. But no, I see a really low scoring game because, again, Saints defense is just so good. I see like a 17-3 score from the Dolphins.
Well, I think it's crazy because I think Tua and Jalen Hurts are such similar players, and like obviously they're always going to be linked because of the college situation. Right. But I think if you look at them, a lot of people in Miami are saying the same things about Tua that we're saying about Hurts. Like there's split camps on whether
a lot of similarities in their career trajectory at this point.
Yeah, because like there's some people that say, "Oh, Tua is not the franchise," and then there's other people that say, "Well, obviously they should have drafted Justin Herbert." I mean, Justin Herbert is their Justin Jefferson.
Right, but Justin Herbert. I mean, I know he had a great rookie season and he's put up good stats, but they're 8-7 and they just lost to the Houston Texans. So it's time to put some criticism on Justin Herbert's team too. If we're going to criticize everybody else, we might as well criticize him as well.
Hey, we criticized Pat Mahomes this year, and he deserved it.
Yeah, but he also looked hurt. So we'll get into that. That'll be an off-season topic right there. All right. Anyway, what
prediction for this game? I'm gonna say Miami 24, Saints 13.
Wow, that's a lot higher scoring. Bet the over then, according to you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't see the over happening now. Even as low as the over-under is, I just don't know. Anyway, so I got 17-3. You got 24-13. Both of us picking the Dolphins to win. We'll see. We'll see tomorrow morning when we do Trend in the AM tomorrow morning on Tuesday. Right here on DSM Media, 8:30 a.m. every single Monday through Friday. I got you covered. Jason, when he's off from work, we are trending in the AM. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. A lot of great people. Thank you, Jason, George, Matt, all the different people, all the other podcasts that we're checking out on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as we continue our road to 500. Trending in the AM, as all shows on DSM Media are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code trending for 20% off and free shipping. Hey, fun Overreaction Monday. Stay tuned on Twitter. I'm going to continue going off with all my overreactions from yesterday. Yesterday's big Eagles win against the Giants. And make sure you follow Jason on Twitter at Mustang3651. He would be glad to go back and forth with you on any of the topics from today's show. Everybody have a great Monday. I hope everybody, I didn't even get to say it. I totally forgot. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. Jason, I hope Santa didn't give you too much coal in your stocking and you got something, that you wanted from Santa Claus. I hope everybody has a great day. Enjoy this week. We're getting closer and closer to the new year turning over. So everybody have a great day. Again, I'm Phil Stiefel right here from DSM Media, trending in the AM. Everybody have a great day, and we'll play it off with a Go Birds.
Go Birds.